So how's it going? I'm Andrew with Investors Hub. Every talk is a TED Talk. When you talk to Ted Ohashi, we talk to him twice a month. He chats about the cannabis industry, and he writes the Cannabis Report, which is an independent blog that's hosted on Investors Hub. And he's going to be talking to us about a couple of companies in his model portfolio, Lexaria and Khiron. And he's also going to chat with us about some other general topics in the cannabis industry. So let's hear from Ted. Please note that our videos are not designed to be direct investing advice. We're here to gather the perspective of different investors. Our channel and our content should just be one stop on the journey of trying to find out where to put your money. So Lexaria started trading on the NASDAQ back in mid-January, and their share price took a hit. But in your recent publication of the Cannabis Report, you said you had a conversation with their CEO, and he convinced you, or something he said made you believe in them more, and you put some more money into investing into their company. Why'd you do that?
Well, the reason that it dipped is as part of uplisting to the NASDAQ exchange, the company raised money, and they did what for them was quite a large raise, about $10 million, and they did it at a price below the market at that time. And so that's the reason the stock dipped. But with that money, the company's been more active in terms of the work that it's doing. It has a technology that improves the bioavailability of certain molecules. So nicotine, for example, you can get the same kind of smoker's hit with less nicotine. And they're doing it with a blood pressure system, which involves their technology and CBD. They're doing animal trials and human trials, small ones, which they'll be starting in May and finishing around Christmas. The human trials will finish around Christmas. So they'll be getting results this year. And if those results are at all promising, I think the stock will do very well. They've listed on NASDAQ now. They're attracting a whole new audience. The number of American shareholders has gone up. So I'm very optimistic about it. And of course, what I added to the model portfolio was the warrants. Because they give you a little better leverage than just owning the stock.
So Khiron is a company that a lot of people who click on our conversations are interested in. So talk to us about some recent developments with them. I saw in the Cannabis Report that they had opened up a dispensary in California in March recently.
Yeah, I don't think that was in California. I think it was in Colombia.
Oh, sorry.
I hope I didn't make a misprint there. But anyways, yes. So again, with Khiron, they're headquartered in Bogota, Colombia, which is just an amazing place, and it's a great place to be working with cannabis. And so now they're reaching out. This is medical cannabis. They're reaching out through what they call satellite or mini dispensaries. And so they have 6 of them now. I think 3 or 4 of them are smaller ones. And they've moved out of Bogota. So they've moved into other parts of Colombia. And they're going to do 3 more before the end of the year. So, they might be up to 9 or 10 dispensaries by December. And the evidence is that these dispensaries work very well. I mean, people are happy to come into them. It's much easier for them to do that than to travel to Bogota. So I think this is going to work out very well for the company. And it's easier for us to measure growth now. We're talking about numbers of dispensaries.
So I'm going to ask a long-term question. It's a general question about the cannabis world. In 10 years, what country do you see as being the epicenter of cannabis production? Whether it's like separately flower and refined products or together?
Well, I think the evidence is that these dispensaries will work very well. I mean, people are happy to come into them. It's much easier for them to do that than to travel to Bogota. So I think this is going to work out very well for the company. And it's easier for us to measure growth now. We're talking about numbers of dispensaries. So I'm going to ask a long-term question. It's a general question about the cannabis world. In 10 years, what country do you see as being the epicenter of cannabis production? Whether it's like separately flower and refined products or together? Well, of course, the temptation to that question is to say the United States, because they're the biggest, they've got the most money. They don't have the most ideal conditions, but nevertheless, I think it'll probably be the United States. Otherwise, the best growing conditions are close to the equator. So that's countries like, Colombia, for example, or parts of Africa that are very well suited climate wise to growing cannabis.
What about the refining process? Is it going to be done in the same place they're growing cannabis or somewhere else?
Well, you more or less have to keep the two together. Cannabis is not a good thing to be shipping around the world because it would be like shipping banana leaves or something. I don't know, but it takes up a lot of space for the weight that it is. So yeah, the processing will be, I think, adjacent to or very close to the cultivation. The other thing that's out there, of course, is synthetic uh, cannabis. And so I think, I mean, if we're still talking 10 years out, we may see developments in that area where you'll be able to make the basic components of cannabis without growing the plant. I mean, if we still needed the plant for aspirins, there wouldn't be enough of those trees around. So um, I think that's the direction the industry will go.
So we had an interesting conversation, Investors Hub Market Vision did, with a fund manager who said that he decided that he was going to get into the cannabis space in some of the companies in the OTC market here in the US. And he was prioritizing companies that existed in states that were actually restrictive on cannabis, because he basically felt that if the companies can break into that market, right, fill out all the paperwork and win the bid, then they're the only ones there. Do you think that do you agree with that sentiment, basically?
To an extent, I do. I mean, many of the companies are doing that. We own Juicy, for example, in the iHub model portfolio, and they do that. For example, they're in Virginia. There were only five licenses given for the whole state, and they've got one of them. They're moving into California, and they're moving into areas where there are restrictions in place, numbers of dispensaries or numbers of applicants, or in one way or the other. So a lot of the companies are actually doing that, and many companies now are avoiding places like Florida, for example, which is really competitive, and there are a number of operators in there, and lots of dispensaries, and so they're looking for greener pastures.
Any final thoughts?
No, I think there's a lot going on politically now in the U.S. With respect to cannabis. We've talked about that in the past. We've talked about the Safe Banking Act and the MORE Act and those sorts of things. And they're all starting to percolate up to the top of the agenda now. I think the new Biden administration has more or less addressed their priority issues. And now the sort of the next level of issue is coming to the surface. And one of those appears to be cannabis. So as we said before, I mean, I think that in the short run, we'll get lots of bills that help the industry. So it helps them access banking, it helps them access insurance, those sorts of things. Legalization, though, might be a way off, although there is a glimmer of hope out there because three Democratic leaders in the Senate are talking about their bill. They're not telling anybody what's in it yet, but if legalization is in it, then I think that'll be quite exciting news.
I saw that same news a couple of, at this point, months ago, Has there been any new developments with regards to those senators, or is it still that news from a little while ago?
No, this was from last week.
Oh,
So I think I'm going by memory here, so I might be a little bit off, but I think the MORE Act was reintroduced. I think somebody said they were going to reintroduce the Safe Banking Act. And at that time, Schumer and two other senators said they had a broader bill in the works. And they actually did a video on it and presented it. So, no, it's something that is quite recent.
thanks for watching, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like the video. You can follow us on Twitter at iHub_vision, and I'll see you again soon.